Well, hi, everybody. It's been a week, and I'm going to tell you all about it, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sharon Gilbert, and I have followed the shepherd since I was a child. He led me through music and medicine and academics and all sorts of wonderful paths, but my choices weren't always good ones. However, in 1997, he turned all those life choices into a wonderful marriage to my perfect partner, and from there into full-time ministry. Following Jesus' steps means more than being obedient. It means gaining spiritual muscle. It means putting on the full armor of God. So let's take the next steps together, shall we? Suited up and ready to follow as the shepherd's armored sheep. Hi, I'm Sharon Gilbert. I'm so sorry that I did not record an armored sheep last week. Derek and I have been super busy the last couple of weeks recording programs on Skywatch TV. More about that in a future episode. But as you can see, I'm wearing my hat because my eyes have become really super sensitive to any light that's shining down on me. And over at Skywatch TV Studios, I've also been wearing a hat because the lights there are really bright, much brighter than we have here at the house. But I just want to thank you before I get too far into this. Thank you very much for your prayers, for your just love. And for those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much for that. If you're brand new to this and you don't know much about Derek and me, well, PID Radio is the original PID Radio hat from back in 2005. Derek and I have been podcasting for almost 20 years. March 5th of this year will be 20 years. So since we uploaded the very first episode of our podcast. So you might say that we're the OGs of Christian podcasting. At the time, I think we were the only Christian podcast out there. A week or so later, Dr. Future started his. And then after that, many, many others followed, and the Lord has used the infrastructure that probably is going to serve as a matrix for a future we'll just say tribulation event. But in the meantime, the Lord is using it to spread his message and to help many of us to understand and to get the answers to some of the really crazy questions in the Bible. And that's one reason that Derek and I not only write the books we do, but we also record the videos that we do here, but also on PTL. We love the fact that Jim Baker and his team host our weekly program, Unraveling Revelation, but we also, on our app, and please download it, go to gilberthouse.org/app. It's absolutely free, and it will always have everything that we upload to their servers at Subsplash. It's a Christian company. They designed the app. They keep the app in good condition, and they store all of our videos. Again, Christian company. So we are not going to disappear from our own app. We may say something somewhere along the line that causes us to have difficulties with other platforms, but in the meantime, I just want to I want to encourage you to download our app, and if you only watch on this particular social media platform, I want to thank you for being here and for sharing the videos with others. And like I said, subscribing and hitting the notification bell, because that is how you will find out when Derek and I start to do our live events, which we plan on doing in 2025. So many things are happening this year that we figure we have to be able to go live now and then just to share those things with you. Well, this has been a crazy week for me, not only dealing with some, aging issues, which hence the eye problems, and many of you already know about that. My next treatment is Friday, so pray that helps. It's the third of 4 treatments, so we'll see how that goes. I'm praying that the Lord gives me some relief from all of this in the meantime, so I can continue and get back to writing the Red Wing Saga and several other books Derek and I are writing together. This is, like I said, it's been a crazy week. A couple of days ago, I discovered look, if you have ever had this happen, you know exactly what I'm dealing with and what I had to deal with, what Derek and I did. discovered a couple of days ago that our freezer in the garage, it was over 40 years old. It's been in the most garages since it was purchased. So it's pretty sturdy. And these old appliances, they hang on forever, it seems like. Well, it finally got to where it could no longer do it. And all of the products that were inside of it were lost. Well, when you live out in the country, the best way to deal with that, since you cannot cook it, is to feed it to the local fauna, the animals who live in the woods. So we have woods all around our property, so I took it to the very edge of our property and laid everything out there for a banquet for the coyotes and the raccoons and buzzards and anything else that happened to be a bit hungry. I will avoid walking our dogs down there for a while. But yeah, it's something that happens in our modern world. Have you noticed that we've become so dependent on these appliances, on electricity? I was telling Derek this morning that I spent a lot of time when I was growing up and then in my former marriage on farms. And we would dry meat, we would can meat, we would make jerky, beef jerky, and we would, of course, grow our own beef. And oftentimes, of course, it is electricity as well. We would oftentimes rent big freezer drawers at a butcher shop. And that way you didn't have to keep everything at your house. You would just go over there once a month or so and get another 15, 20 pounds, whatever you wanted, and bring it home. Because of the high price of meat and the fact that meat these days just is not as clean as is best for our bodies, Derek and I like to buy from our neighbor because he feeds his cattle on just grass, doesn't give them anything other than that, no corn or anything like that, doesn't give them a whole lot of antibiotics because corn requires giving them antibiotics. It's very, very clean beef. In fact, they eat some of the grass from our hay fields. So we never spray those fields. They're very clean fields. So we're just delighted to buy it from him. But if the freezer goes out, well, you lose all the meat. But we will be buying another freezer, and we will be buying from him again. We've already worked it out. So we need to get a freezer in the next couple of weeks so we can buy from him in about a month. Thank you, Lord, for providing. Gosh, groceries are expensive right now. Eggs, for goodness sake, we have a friend who has chickens. And many of you, I know, I've heard from you. You also are raising chickens. And it's because eggs are so expensive that did you know some restaurants are now adding an egg surcharge to your meal, 50 cents per egg? So if you get a 3-egg omelet, it's another $1.50 surcharge on top of your meal. Boy, it's getting expensive. But February, this is the main thing I wanted to talk to you about today, and I've already blathered on and on. Typical me. Part of it's because I'm tired, and when I'm tired, I tend to blather. But February is the month when we celebrate Valentine's Day. And there's nothing wrong with that because there is a story about Saint Valentine who was imprisoned for his faith. And one story is that he fell in love with the jailer's daughter. And so he began to write her poems and various letters. And he would also always sign them, Your Valentine, at the end. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but I love it. It's the kind of story I love to hang on to. But because Derek and I look at ancient mythology, ancient stories of humans interacting with and worshiping the fallen realm, one of the stories about February is that it's named after Februus, who is a deity that was either an underworld god or he was the god of new beginnings. This was a time when New Year's was being celebrated and the old was being done away with through fire. If you ever had the medical terminology where you called a fever febrile, that's where it comes from because the female version of Februus is Februus. So yes, burning all the old, bringing in the new, but it was also a time of fertility rituals. So in the middle of February, the Romans would celebrate Lupercalia. The Luperci were the priests, and they included some members of the patrician class and even some soldiers. In fact, Mark Antony of Cleopatra fame was the head of the Luperci one particular year when Julius Caesar was the head of the Roman Republic. The ceremony was to slaughter a goat or two goats or even a dog. The dog represented a wolf because the priests served in a cave at the bottom of Palatine Hill. Palatine Hill later became the source of our word palace because it's where the Caesars of Rome built their palace, beginning with Augustus. This cave, the Lupercal, was where the god was worshipped and where the goats were sacrificed. They were then flayed into strips, goatskin, and these priests would run around the bottom of Palatine Hill with these strips of hide, very fresh hide, let's just put it that way, and they would use them as whips to whip the young women and the wives of the area, and these wives would move forward hoping to be included, hoping to be whipped, because they believed that this transferred fertility, not just from Februus, but also from another deity that was often associated with Februus, that is Faunus, also known as Pan, the goat demon. Now, did you know then that Valentine's Day does have an association with the fallen realm? You probably knew that, but you may not have known it was associated with this horned deity that actually may have been another representation of, here, wait for it, Cupid. Cupid. Cupid wasn't always a chubby baby with a bow and arrow. Cupid was originally one of the aspects of this Faunus, Pan, called many other names. And in fact, in Germanic countries, it was represented by this deity called Krampus. Krampus was like the bad version of Santa Claus. He would take the bad children away. Well, horned deities have been around for a long, long time. Derek and I explore these stories of the horned demons, the horned deities. What did all this mean? We explore this in our books, Giants, Gods, and Dragons, Veneration, The Gates of Hell, which is the brand new one. And Derek also explores it in many of his solo books, including The Second Coming of Saturn. I highly recommend you take a look at that book. But I'll tell you what, the space that I try to do these in is about 15 minutes or so. I'm never going to get all of this in, so I will try to make a note. I'll probably forget it, knowing me, but I'll try to make a note that next week I will continue this discussion of the pagan roots, not only of Februalia, of February, of Valentine's Day, but also of other events that not only have taken place historically, but our good friend Dr. Judd Burton thinks may have taken place during Jesus' time, and it's why he took the disciples to Mount Hermon when he did. More on that next week. In the meantime, I want to thank you for watching The Armored Sheep, and if you can, go to gilberthouse.org/store, and you will get a link to get your very own Armored Sheep mug. This is what I drink my coffee and tea out of in the morning now. So this is, I tell you what, this is tremendous. I love, love, love Light Hive Creations. You can get hats there, you can get mugs there, you can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, all sorts of stuff. And many of our ministry friends have started to use Light Hive Creations as a way that they can reach out to you. And Kenny C and his fiancée, Gidget Manning, they're the ones who have the website. They're the ones who create these wonderful, wonderful gifts. But all of the proceeds go to help the students who are studying music with Kenny C. And that's why we love partnering with them. Help a student, help Kenny see, and, help to share your message about Jesus Christ. Because if somebody asks, what's armored sheep? You can tell them about Psalm 23 and Ephesians 6 and explain why following the shepherd requires wearing our own specially made suit of armor. Until next time, love you guys. Bye-bye.
God's creation is full of mysteries. What were the giants in the Scripture? Did dinosaurs roam the earth in the days of Noah? Are we alone in the universe? Join speakers L.A. Marzulli, Derek Gilbert, Michael Hoggard, Mac Dominic, Sharon Gilbert, and Micah Van Huss to explore the topics your Sunday school teacher didn't talk about at the Mysteries of the Bible Verse event in the greater Indianapolis area, June 13th and 14th.